It's common cause that working South Africans have been under financial pressure due to limited income, higher inflation and a high interest rate environment, especially because for some families there's also a high dependency ratio given high unemployment levels. Nedbank has released its 2024 NedFinHealth Monitor report, which looks at working South Africans' financial challenges, how they navigate them and some of the steps they're taking to improve their financial resilience. Well, to unpack some of the findings for us, I'm joined by Dr Frank Magwegwe. He's Executive for Financial Wellness and Advisory at Nedbank. Thank you very much, Dr Magwegwe, for joining us. So before we get into your findings and the financial...
Thank you for having me on the show.
You're welcome. So before we get into your findings, what is the methodology that you use behind your research? And given that there are so many South Africans who could be described as working poor, presumably you work with a minimum income level of the worker that you're looking at.
Yes, we did. So in fact, what we do, what a lovely way to start the interview. So we look at formally employed South Africans. That's the first thing. So in other words, anyone who is working and is within the age band until 65. So pretty much the sample is made up of 1,500 South Africans who are aged between 18 and 65. We then look at various income categories such as below 3,000, between 3 and 6, 6 and 10, 10 and 24, and then above 25,000.
Okay.
So we really try to slice and dice the working South Africans so that we are able to look at industry, we are able to look at age as well as income.
Okay, super. Thank you for that. So what were the key findings around some of the financial challenges working South Africans have been experiencing?
I think your introduction really captured the fact that, firstly, South Africans continue to struggle with their finances. However, what we do see in 2024 as Nedbank compared to 2023 is certainly a shift. So we measure financial health based on a score of 100. We chose 100 because it's easier for people to understand. You can think of, marks at school, for example. So last year, we had an overall financial health of 53 out of 100. You can see that's fairly low. 2024, it ticked up somewhat, but really marginally to 55 out of 100, confirming your point earlier that the average South African is still finding finances a little bit challenging. Specifically, what are they finding challenging? 3 things. Number 1, paying bills on time continues to be a challenge. 2, South Africans continue to spend more than they earn, which is also a problem. In other words, I earn 1,000, but I actually spend 1,100, for example. Thirdly, South Africans continue to tell us, I have found myself with unmanageable debt. In other words, I've taken more debt than that I can manage on a month-to-month basis.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 main challenges South Africans are reporting in the NedFinHealth Monitor for 2024.
So one of the positive things that I noted in your report is that it indicates that some people are trying to be more proactive in terms of improving their financial health, like building up on their short-term savings, although it's still nowhere near, where it needs to be. But this is a good sign, and I guess that speaks to this marginal increase that you're seeing as well.
And in fact, that 2 percentage point increase was primarily driven by this ability to start putting money aside for emergencies. And it's quite interesting in that the very same consumer who's struggling to pay bills on time, who's saying, I perhaps have a little bit too much debt, at the same time is standing back and saying, wait a minute, if emergencies come and I am not prepared, my financial situation might even be worse. So we're really finding an interesting development in our market among consumers, where a consumer who is struggling to pay bills on time is putting some money aside for emergencies, knowing the importance of that. That's definitely one of the contributors to the uptick in the score. The other one was the belief that I am planning well for the future. So in other words, whether it's setting aside a goal for a deposit for a car, a goal to reduce debt, a goal for deposit for a home. So the idea of planning, even working with financial advisors, That's another area that we saw contributing to the uptick in the score. The third one, interestingly, is also a sense that my credit score is better than last year. We track a self-rated credit score by simply asking them, how is your credit score? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it excellent? And we saw an uptick on that. Again, consumers sitting back and saying to themselves, I think my finances are getting a little bit better, and therefore I would be able, to get a loan should I want one. That's the idea of a self-rated credit score.
Yeah. Dr. Magwegwe, as with checking on one's physical health maybe once a year, why is it so important to do a financial check? Because, of course, at the end of the day, if you don't do that, it's similar to not checking on your health.
Yes, spot on. So 3 things for me that I always say are critical for us when we're checking our physical health. One, it's just accepting the current reality. Just like for a physical check, when you know your glucose level, you know your blood pressure level, you know your cholesterol level, a financial health checkup says, this is where I am. That's the first reason why it's important. Then, of course, when you know where you are able to take informed action. That's the second part. Well, my debt is a little bit unmanageable. What can I do to reduce it? Well, I'm struggling to pay bills on time. What can I do about it? My income is inadequate. Maybe I need a side hustle. Maybe I need a gig to bring in additional income. Or, for example, if it's not adequate emergency savings, then you say to yourself, what can I do, even if it's just starting with a small amount and building it over time? So for me, this idea of tracking the health of South Africans as we do it at Nedbank is to equip people with knowing where they are and practical action they can take to improve their financial health.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dr. Frank Magwegwe. He's the Executive for
Fantastic
Financial
to have us on the show.
Wellness and Advisory at Nedbank.